This is my legacy, and in honor of Mental Health Awareness Month, we're sharing more from our conversation with Keshia Chanté and her longtime mentor, Stephen Hill. Because sometimes protecting your peace starts with having the right people in your corner. The kind of support that not only lifts us up, but helps us find our own strength, our voice, and our compass when we need it most. Let's go.
So one of the reasons I love this show is because we get to actually peel back the curtain and actually see like just your eyes for our listeners. I wish they could see and just the glow of your smile of this relationship. And I love mentorship. I think it's so important. So Stephen, this beautiful tribute. So you have launched careers. You have shaped culture. You've elevated Black voices. You had this extraordinary role. So tribute came from you to him. I'm going to ask you, Stephen, is there something that a mentee has shared with you that makes you such a great mentor?
Oh, wow.
It's a big question. I love that.
Yes. That I listen well and I can approach things from multiple sides. That's everything else springs from that. To really be able to listen, I've said it, and address things from both sides, understand, and have an understanding of where that person or that mentee wants to be. And sometimes it's just, I have the benefit of having experience. I always like to tell people, I'm not telling you how to do it, I can tell you how it's been done. You can take that and move it forward in a different way. It's not necessarily how to do it. So,
yeah, and you're not judgmental. That's what I love about you, genuinely. Like, listening is a superpower. You listen well. You articulate your thoughts well, but also you're not judgmental. You've always made it a safe place. From when I was 16, 20, 25, 35, I can tell him anything, no matter how crazy it may be, and he will be like, okay, like he will digest it, and then he will give you wonderful feedback, honest feedback, and real feedback. So yeah, you create the environment for it to be a safe place to communicate.
How incredible is that? Like,
Yeah.
to have that in your life.
Yes.
And one of the things I admire about you, Keshia, is that you have walked away from things when it didn't serve you.
Oh yes.
How would you say to our listeners? How has that? What would you say to them about taking care of their mental health?
Mental health is a huge thing. I find it so fascinating that we speak on physical health and we separate mental health like it doesn't exist. Like, is your brain not attached to your body? Why is it why are we treating it as a separate thing? But there's something very humbling about experiencing depression. It's at your lowest moment where I've experienced times where I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I am done. I'm tired. And it's, sometimes it's just a lot of maybe trauma you've experienced, and it gets overwhelming. But once you've made it out of depression one time, it renews your faith in God or whatever you believe in, right? For me, it was God. It makes your faith stronger, but it also makes you realize, like, I can really get through it. I just have to figure out what my game plan is to get out of it. So I would say, through my experiences in life, it's the falling and the getting back up that has allowed me to believe that there's more. And also, when you feel so close to not wanting to be here, or when you experience a huge death, when you lose someone, it really makes you realize how precious life is and wanting to maximize your time here. So I genuinely have this place of like, I don't know what's happening tomorrow or the next week or the next month, but I want to make sure it's a good one. I want to make sure that I'm giving as much as I can. Like, when I leave the house, I try to be as intentional. Sometimes I'm having a bad day, or I'm struggling with anxiety or depression, and I try to still go out in the day and be as mindful and as self-aware as I can with people, because I want to pour into people as much as I can. So if I feel like something isn't right, immediately I'm like, this is a waste of time. No matter how valuable it could be to others, if I don't feel like it's right to my core, or it takes me out of alignment with my relationship with God, there is nothing more important to me than my relationship with God. So if it doesn't feel right, I'm good. I don't care how much money it is. I don't care how cool it is. If it doesn't feel right with me and him when I go to bed at night, I'm not doing it. So I have no problem walking away. And I'm lucky to have parents that are like, good on you. Do it. Yeah, girl. Yeah.
I think one of my favorite things over the last 10 years, I'll say, is people being much more open about their mental health and what it takes to keep your mental healthy, right? It's not hidden in a closet anymore. You can really say, look, I've gone through depression. I understand what it is, because there's something about not locking it inside that makes it freeing and helps you towards the positive. And so I love that through social media or whatever it is, mental health has been much more on a conversation, and much more people have been much more open about it over the last, it feels like 10, 15 years.
And let's just say it too, it's important for everyone's mental health. I think it's been so wonderful that in the Black community that we are talking about mental health in ways in which we haven't, and I'm sure in all communities, but in the Black community that we're able now to talk more openly about mental health. That's critical, and so healing,
Yes.
I think. Yes.
Yeah.
This show is built on connection, on showing up authentically, and on reminding each and every one of us of what really matters. If this resonates with you, subscribing is the easiest way to support what we're building and help us bring more of these uplifting conversations into the world.
Now back to my legacy.
And now, Keshia, I'm going to look down at my notes because you've done so much as a businesswoman, and I want to make sure that I celebrate it all.
Thank you.
Because from music to acting to entrepreneurship, I've noticed that you've created space for others, especially women of color. And so from your first single to your hair care brand to you have a new film coming out, what's the kind of the line that connects the artist that you were with the woman that you are?
Oh, wow. As a little girl, I feel like it was always just want to make my parents proud. I just want to live out my dream. This is so fun. I'm so happy to be here. And then now as an adult woman, there's a different intentionality. There's life experiences. And I would say therapy, too. Therapy has been amazing, just going through key moments in my life that have made me see things a certain way and how I could really make it impactful. The person that I am now, I advocate for my people because of experiences that I've had over the years. I remember, for example, I was 6 years old, or just as a little girl, for example, I would drive with my dad, and my dad would get stopped all the time by the cops for no reason. And it was escalating, and I could tell he was being picked out. And he was dealing with a lot of racism, and he was sharing with me what he was going through. But I remember one specific time, being 6 years old, they arrested him and they put him in the back of the cop car for nothing, and they put me in the back of the car with him. And I remember being in this little cage and looking over at my dad with tears in his eyes, and he was trying to be as strong as he could, handcuffed. And he asked me to grab a quarter out of his pocket and walk across the street and call my mom and tell her to come get me. And I remember going through his pocket, and he's tight, and calling my mom and picking him up. And just he got taken, but when I got in my mom's car, seeing him leave in the cop car, I will never forget. Yeah. That created a rage in me. And rage can be really powerful if you are mindful and you're strategic about it, because it could go negative or it could go positive. But that's where the core of it, that wanting to protect my dad, started at a young age, where I was like, oh no, I need to figure something out. This can't be it. And then other moments throughout my life, encountering racism, or even just one thing, for example, going to a school where no one looked like me, and then my grandparents living in Hinesville, Georgia, and my parents would ship me off to them every summer for 2 months. And I was in it was in a Catholic school, and I was in the Catholic girl choir. And as you guys know, in Catholic church, it's very, very respectful, but very conservative in a certain way. And then I would end up in Hinesville, Georgia at a Baptist church, praise and worship. And it was a whole different experience just going from the deep South to Ottawa, Canada, having that every single year. And some of the things I would witness even in Georgia that I wasn't happy with. My grandmother, a dark-skinned woman, we would go to hair salons and just even go places, and just the way she would be treated to this day still infuriates me. So in wanting to protect my loved ones, I realized that, yeah, I'm living out my dream, but God gave me a purpose. And yeah, you can feed yourself and receive all the blessings, but how are you blessing others? Because at the end of the day, I want to make sure that the world is a better place for my dad, for my grandmother, and one day I'm going to have a child. What's this world going to be like for the child? So there's just a different intentionality that I would say that I have, way more meaning. It's way more personal, my fight. And it's every single day and everything I do. I went to, last story real quick, but I went to a network and they had a bit of a scandal. And I remember people of color quitting. And they were like, what are you doing? Are you going to quit? You need to quit this network because they're not representing us. And I thought, well, perfect example, there's the MLK route, there's the Malcolm X route, there is an internal route, there's an external route. They took the external route and I embraced it, but I said, I'm respected at this network. What can I demand internally? How can I watch the change happen? And boy, did I do that. Black producers were hired, Black talent was hired, Black voices were brought in, and we were able to redesign the infrastructure of the company internally. I was the black sheep and the only one there doing it at the time, but everything that I do, I try to be intentional, and that is always my personal goal is like, how can I just make this place better? And it might not just be for my people, it could be mental health, it could be women, entrepreneurs. I'm like, I gotta make this more impactful.
Yeah.
This can't just be a thing I show up to and take a picture and leave.
Well, you obviously have read or or some type of way, figured out one of the message of Martin Luther King, because he talked about the importance of external and internal change.
Yes.
And he talked about the fact that in his opinion, it's a mixture of both. That there wasn't a one-way highway into change and into ending racism, and that it takes both ways in order to help us reach the beloved community.
Absolutely, yeah.
Well, one reason why I love what you had to share is I feel like you were so honest and vulnerable, even in the last comments, because now I understand why this 6-year-old wanted to be great.
Yeah.
And this 13 and 16-year-old wanted control over economic future. As you said, your dad, your mom, your grandma, your future. So what I love about the show is we get to really peel back the layers. And I love in the mentorship relationship because you showed it didn't happen by accident. And I love the honesty of both of you sharing the mentorship that you've had for each other. And so I just want to encourage any of our listeners or our viewers to reflect on the mentors in their life, to reflect how they can be great mentors, to share this with their mentees or share this with their mentors, to have that relationship. And deeply grateful to both of you for living your legacy and sharing your legacy with us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. If you enjoyed today's conversation, subscribe, share, and follow us at My Legacy Movement on social media. New episodes drop every Tuesday with bonus content every Thursday. Listen on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts. Until next time, may you find inspiration to live your legacy.